You guys want to get some coffee or something?
Can I get a cup of coffee? Black? Can't you see we talking? White?
Even little kids in Mexico drink coffee.
Well, I'm not a little kid in Mexico, okay?
That is the best coffee I've ever tasted.
A damn fine cup of coffee.
You want a cup of coffee?
No coffee.
Coffee drinker, huh?
Maybe we could grab some coffee?
Coffee! Coffee, 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 coffee!
God damn, Jimmy. This some serious gourmet shit. Me and Vincent would have been satisfied with some freeze-dried Taster's Choice, right? And he springs this serious gourmet shit on us.
Greetings. Welcome to Morning Coffee. I am broadcasting from my lunar base. My name is Christopher Moonlight, and today we are talking about Guillermo del Toro, his association with H.P. Lovecraft, especially since recently he released a little test piece for his proposed At the Mountains of Madness movie, which never got produced. We're also going to be talking about his Cabinet of Curiosities. There will be some mild spoilers there because I've only watched 4 episodes. And some of his other movie work. Is he Lovecraftian, or is he just Guillermo del Toro and he happens to love Lovecraft? So I want to first bring in our panel. Good morning. First, we have Das Wolfen. Welcome to the show. And we have Martin. Good morning, Martin.
Hey, good morning. Where am I up here? Right.
Thank you, gentlemen, for joining me as usual. And I want to say hi to who we have in the chat so far. Caleb Cami is here. Socks Bulletins. Anime Confucia.
Anima Confusa.
I was so focused on finally getting the last name right. I just said anime instead of anima. Sorry, Anima. Confucia.
She knows you love her.
I do. It's my brain. We have D Bud Martin, Lord Toth, Dragon Roos. I am so happy you're all here joining us. I hope you're Guillermo del Toro fans. Winston has something to say about it. I hope you're not too great. Yeah, sorry, Anima. One day I'll get this down. So for me, Guillermo del Toro, there's a lot of stuff he has done that I love. There's some stuff he's done that I think is okay, and there's also a lot of stuff he's done that I'm just like, no. And really, it's my criticisms of him are not out of any kind of hate for him. It's just he's kind of like Tim Burton in a way. He's got his own look, his own flavor, his own passions. He cares very much about what he does. I want to see him do well. I want to see him be the guy that I don't think he ever quite reached Tim Burton status in the pop culture. If there's anybody that I would put on a shelf next to Tim Burton, it would be Guillermo del Toro. But I want to see him do well. And recently there's, like I said, the At the Mountains of Madness thing that he released, the preview. So, I think first of all, I want to start off with favorite Guillermo del Toro moments personally. Like, John, what has he done that you absolutely love?
Well, Pan's Labyrinth is amazing.
That's the one where he really made his mark. Yeah,
it's cool and creepy at the same time.
And Martin. Sorry.
His creature work is amazing as far as his designs and vision.
He gets a lot of great people in. We're going to talk about the creature work too, because there's specific reasons for the look of his creatures. All right, Martin, go ahead.
Well, what can I say? I'm partial to the guy. Of course, Pan's Labyrinth, that we in Spanish know by another name, is El Laberinto del Fauno. And I know it's not a popular one, but I really like The Shape of Water and Mama. Yeah, Mama is a very beautiful ghost stories that, in my opinion, it's perfect to initiate something in horror movies, because it's not meant to really scare you, but to involve you emotionally with the characters, even the ghost.
Yeah, and but Mama wasn't directed by Guillermo del Toro. I
No,
believe
but
he produced it.
it was written by him from a short. It was inspired in a short, and that's his.
Now the short was, now it's been a while since I actually thought of Mama. I'd actually forgotten about it, but I did see. I actually worked at a movie theater at the time of Mama, and based on the audience reaction, in terms of both the fact that the theaters were always packed and you would always hear screaming from the theaters, and I actually did have a couple of occasions where I was almost bowled over by someone running out of the theater that they seemed so scared.
What?
Oh yeah, but it seems to me like it was a big hit. It did well with audiences. We'll probably talk Mama spoilers because it had an unusual ending.
Yeah,
I haven't seen Mama, but
oh no,
that's okay.
Don't spoil it. No, man, you have to
Okay,
watch it.
we won't spoil
It's
it
a
for
very
John.
beautiful horror film.
I was, well, yeah. Again, I have feelings about horror movies like that, and for me, and maybe it's just my cold heart, but I feel like for me, Guillermo del Toro, except for Pan's Labyrinth, usually suffers when he's trying to be more emotional in his movies, because for me, he gets a bit well, again, we're going to talk about Shape of Water a little bit, because unfortunately, right before we went on air, I didn't know that Martin loved Shape of Water, and I bashed that one a little bit. I have a different title for that movie, which is Fish Sticks.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, Shape of Water is creepy, just not in a good way.
yeah, the whole.
I mean,
interspecies
obviously,
bestiality thing, but if you take if you take that away, well,
I chose Pan's Labyrinth because the obvious ones like Hellboy and Pacific Rim and stuff I absolutely love. But that is fairly, I mean, that's, you're taking somebody else's property in the case of Hellboy,
all right,
or
Hellboy.
something that's not horror in the case of Pacific Rim. At least not traditional horror. It's kaiju, so it's its own thing.
But it's still Guillermo
my
del Toro
problems.
style monsters.
Yeah. I mean, it's still got its touch, but it isn't.
I love kaijus like everybody else, but I have my problems, ethical problems with Pacific Rim.
Ethical problems? Huh?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay,
you have to kill the kaijus. I get that, but for fuck's sake, kill it fast. That shit is a gore fest, maiming living animals. It's like it's like seeing the corrida de toros. It's animal torture, man.
Well, they are sent specifically to commit genocide against the human race.
But
they get no.
That doesn't
give
you carte blanche for torture. Just shoot it in the freaking head and get done with it.
Well, they're pretty tough. They keep getting back up. So
if you blow their head, I'm pretty sure they die. You don't have to dismember them little by little to get the job done.
Pacific Rim is where I think Guillermo del Toro is at his best, because plot-wise, the more you think about it, the less it actually makes sense. But it's still it's just enough plot to justify and make you care about monsters and robots fighting. And I think that's, again, it's just, there's a oh, Martin dropped the first F-bomb, huh? That went past me. He's shocked, I tell you. I'm going to try not to cuss on this show just because, I do want to bring more people. And this is something I think I'm going to talk more about in the future as well, which is, as nerds, we love this stuff, but we're also adults. And our love of this stuff is based on things that we grew up with in our childhood. I want to see, where we bring the next generation in, the kids, like, what is the thing that the kids want to have as a toy? What are the things that they want to, if they get the comic book, and I still do believe that physical comic books can be a thing. It's neat to go to a shop with your parents and be bought something like, here's a comic off the rack, or, whatever it was. I was a big book reader when I was a kid, which I'm sure a lot of our audience was as well. And John, I know you still are. But, when I talk about this stuff and why I care so much about this stuff is I remember being a teenager and telling my dad, I want to be a comic book artist. And my dad going, comic books? But kids read comic books. That's a kid's thing. And I'm like, okay, even if that's so, Dad, and that's, there's different arguments for and against that. You don't think it's kids that are making them. Adults make them. Because as a creative adult, we love to see our audience get a thrill from what we create. And who's the best audience in the world are the kids, the wonder in their eyes. My wife and I used to go see the Harry Potter movies just because we enjoyed watching the kids freak out in in their seats, just like losing their minds at how excited they were to see.
Not creepy.
These days, I guess anything like that is considered creepy. But it's like anything. I think Stan Lee loved having kids walk up to him and ask questions about, who would win in a fight, Captain America or Spider-Man, that sort of just enthusiasm from kids. And I want to, kind of talk about this stuff because I would love for Hollywood to start thinking more about the kids again. Right now, we've got a problem where Hollywood is thinking about the message, and the reason they're thinking about the message is because they think we've got a captive kids audience and we can get them young. And that's creepy. That's the creepy thing. I want to, think about, and this is, again, when I did the Genndy Tartakovsky show, Dragon Ruse hates reading. Hey, Joe's Atmosphere, my honorary Oos says, morning, ladies and gentlemen, working on a sign, lurking. Wakanda Forever wasn't all bad, but far from great, just meh. And that's funny. It's kind of what I want to talk about too, which is Anima Confucia is a huge book nerd. Just with Guillermo del Toro, I think he's at his best when it's things like Hellboy, giant robots, because he has that inner child that is going, wouldn't this just be super cool if we did this? And that's why I think his creature design is always so strong. And and why the concepts, the monsters, Peter Venkman's fan site is here.
Greetings.
What? Oh, greetings. Sorry. This was with Genndy Tartakovsky as well. He would sit there and go, okay, this episode of Samurai Jack, what's something that we would just think is awesome as a kid? It's like, hot rodding robots, or, a giant mech suit for Jack or something like that. And they would just go based on that. I remember reading about the first Raiders of the Lost Ark. They were just sitting there going, what would be cool? It's like, fight next to an airplane where the blade chops the guy up, or a mine car chase. There was originally going to be the mine car chase from Temple of Doom was going to be in Raiders of the Lost Ark. It was going to be a whole other act after the Ark was opened, and but they just decided it was too much. So, that kind of enthusiasm for things is like, hey, wouldn't it be, what story can we tell so we can get to monsters fighting robots? That is, I don't know. I enjoy that. That's, what kids get excited about. I don't know what most kids are getting excited about these days. I have barely a clue. Sometimes there are kids playing in my neighborhood. They might have a Star Wars mask or something like that. There's a kid that rides around with like one of those First Order trooper masks strapped to the front of his bike. But I look at his parents and go like, well, maybe his parents got them that. I don't know. My kids are into Roblox. I have girls, so they're not quite as enthusiastic about nerd stuff, but they like theater. They like Hamilton and Six, not Six that comes on the show, but the play Six. They like Harry. They still like Harry Potter, but and I embarrass them by trying to do the Fortnite dances. I deliberately do them bad, just so they go, no, Dad, stop. But
I can't do them at all. So there's, I have yet to figure out how to floss. I just can't get the movement right.
But that's you see, when you're an adult and you do it wrong in front of your kids, that's the most fun of all.
Yeah.
Well, I can't use my niece and nephews as barometers to what kids like because I corrupted my nephew to be a full geek like me. My other nephew is an outdoorsman like his grandfather.
Yeah. And that's very good.
And my niece, well, she's just Graceland. That's
And Anima is right. Yes, being a dad means the joy of embarrassing your kids and dad jokes.
Yeah, tons of dad joke.
And singing songs where you change the lyrics to whatever happens to be going on at the dinner table.
Yeah.
That's a lot of fun too. But there's certain lines draw. I remember I was taking my kids on I was chaperoning a field trip that my daughter was on, and she had her group of friends. And I just remember there was some historical pirate ship stuff in a part of the museum. So I started singing Yo Ho, A Pirate's Life for Me. My daughter just turns around and does this, looks at me, just goes, it's like, oh, sorry. I had crossed a line. My life was in danger. But yeah, anyway, going back to this, I mean, as a comic book fan, as a sci-fi fan, I wanted to grow up and create stories that other young boys riding on their bikes, going to the local store with the magazine rack or stuff. Of course, that's changed because of the internet, but the sentiment is the same. I want to inspire those imaginations and get that youthful excitement that'll be a memory that they'll carry with them, all their lives. And then when they have kids, it'll be passed down again. So, when it comes to something like Cabinet of Curiosities, I guess we risk a copyright strike if I show any footage, even that little test footage from At the Mountains of Madness, huh, Martin? Probably.
Oh, give me a second. Here we go.
So, I don't know if we should show the test footage, but this is a still from it. What did you guys think of this? I guess, is John gone?
I think he has to go see some things.
Well, let's click and see if we. Oh, I can't get it to work anyway. The preview.
The creature is very Del Toro-esque. It's more Del Toro-esque than Lovecraftian, if you ask me.
Yeah.
Because,
and that's the thing. Here's he's posting all sorts of fun stuff. Oh, geez. Of course, I love this. Oh, all right. I'm not logging into Instagram right now, but there's his house. He's a big creature kid, and that's what we absolutely love about him.
Well, he took that. He's like Forrest J. Ackerman in that way, except he focuses on horror instead of sci-fi and fantasy stuff.
Yeah. Hey, John, Anima has brought something to our...
Already fixed it.
Oh,
Sorry about the dog barking. But anyway, yeah, I mean, John, how did you? Martin says it doesn't. It just feels more like Del Toro than Lovecraft, and I would agree with that. Did you feel excited about this footage?
I thought it was cool. I mean, it was like I would have loved to have seen him do his movie.
Yeah,
but yeah, it was like I said. It was more. It felt more like like Martin said. It feels like more like Del Toro than it does H.P. Lovecraft.
Yeah, and
the angles are it just didn't look quite as
disturbing enough.
Right. Yeah. Because I mean, it wasn't, because H.P. Lovecraft is the whole point of H.P. Lovecraft is it's supposed to drive you insane because it's so scary. That's the whole feel of an H.P. Lovecraft creature.
Yeah. Horrors beyond description.
Yes.
And that's the key to it is how do you put into a movie horrors beyond description?
Yeah.
It's sort of, filmmakers over the years have taken it as a license to, well, if it's beyond description, then I get to say what it actually is. And of course, nothing you create will, I mean, John Carpenter's The Thing is probably the best way to do it, which is an amalgam.
No.
But
John Carpenter's In the Mouth of Madness is the best way to do it.
Oh yeah. And he really hit a home run with that one in my mind.
Yep.
And here's something that's very interesting though. That movie wasn't a huge hit. I think the reason is that Lovecraft is always going to be a niche thing, an acquired taste for certain people. Not even all horror fans are into Lovecraft. Some, you've got your slasher gore people, you've got your Lovecraftian people, you've got your ghost story people. Lovecraft kind of crosses over into a lot of that, but I think the reason that he's so popular with creators, and I can attest to this because I made my own Lovecraftian style horror movie, The Quantum Terror, is that he created something that went into the public domain, and he even said, take this and run with it. And he's got a great imagination, but some of his stories are, unless you're really committed to them, and they're tough to get through. They're not always slogged. Yeah, they've got great ideas, really creepy mythos, but sometimes, I mean, At the Mountains of Madness is pretty much like a journal, an expedition journal, and you don't actually get any character, and there's a lot of it gets a bit ridiculous. It's like they're able to interpret these hieroglyphs of this culture that no one has ever come across. Somehow they Rosetta Stone the shit out of it, like right on the spot, and they give you the whole history of who these people were and how they used the Shoggoths and all, like, you just get all the backstory on this civilization, like, which in reality would take decades of research to break down, how this culture existed. Yeah. And you get words like, you get moments like non-Euclidean construction. Well, non-Euclidean construction is, some people are like, oh, it's just not things with not right angles. It's like, no, non-Euclidean is literally math that doesn't make sense in our 3D space.
Right.
Like it adds up in theory, but it's not, it's just not going to work in 3D space. And the idea is these creatures, the civilization beforehand, is so unlike humans that they actually managed to pull it off. But again, how do you represent that?
Well, it would be the way I would do it. I mean, I'm not like a movie maker or anything, but I would make it so when you looked at something, it changes in front of you. It's just your brain doesn't wrap itself around it. So it may look one way one time and then completely another way the next time you look at it.
Yeah, which is a fantastic metaphor for how human beings perceive things. Before we continue, though,
So that would be equal to quantum terror.
Yes, it would.
yes. Well, thank you. I think I like to think that even though the quantum terrorism based on a Lovecraft story, I like to think that I did the concepts that Lovecraft presents right. And that does get confusing for the audience. Again, I would fully acknowledge that the quantum terror is not going to be for everybody. Before we continue, I want to just acknowledge more people in the chat. We have Cavatino Caverlyman Chi. I hope I said that right.
No, you didn't. Che.
Che. I was thinking on the Chinese side rather than the Spanish side. Lauren Worth and Colonizer Jeebus. Thank you. Come again. Welcome, everyone. So yeah, I mean, let's do a moment of shameless self-promotion, but I think I forgot to turn on the sound on this, but I want to play. Let's see. I'm going to stop screen sharing and I'm going to reshare it so I can make sure that I got the sound. There we go. Share. Okay. And we'll bring that back up. And
I'm sorry.
That's all right. Let's go for it.
She thought she'd found something in one of her books that lined up with her research. She put them together, and then she told me she talked to someone from another dimension.
Sylvia is one of the brightest students I've ever known.
We talked to the professor. He said that all those weird books belong to Jacob.
I'm not interested in anything you have to say unless you want to make a confession.
And yes, you can watch it for free on Tubi. All right, let's scare.
Or go back and watch our episode where we watched it.
Yes, we did. That's true. We did our live stream. So here's something interesting. I love this moment from the Alan Moore comic based on H.P. Lovecraft, Providence. I wasn't thinking of this when I did it, but the scene that's in the negative where she stands up and you see trails behind her, that was me trying to kind of also do what they represent in this comic, which is show that Lovecraftian and maybe non-Euclidean geometry, I'm not sure, but the fourth dimension being time, the idea that an object exists throughout all of time. We just see it in the moment that we're experiencing it in. But in actuality, if you were to look at it in 4 dimensions, you would see, say I don't know, like a nail, like that you would, like hammer and nail, not a fingernail. You would see it as the alloy on the earth, and you'd also see it, rusted in a doorway or, whatever it was used to hammer together. And then you would see it as just like rust powder. You would see it all throughout its history. which really, elementally goes all the way back to the Big Bang and probably all the way to the end of the universe. So if an object in 4 dimensions is stretched across time. So these are really kind of heavy concepts that in order to really do a Lovecraftian story, you have to be willing to play with. And by the way, I want to talk about, because there is still The Shape of Water. But, for Guillermo del Toro, it's just like, cool tentacle monster. And I love cool tentacle monsters. But even this, there's nothing in At the Mountains of Madness that is like this, except to say that the Shoggoth can change form into whatever they need to be. Yeah. But that doesn't mean amorphous like horror blob. They could literally turn themselves. If you need a tractor, they can turn themselves into a tractor. If you need a hammer, they can turn themselves into a hammer. If you need a butler, they can turn themselves into a butler with a bow tie and a suit and serve you up dinner. Like they are like this,
or serve you up as dinner.
Yeah, serve you up as dinner. So, again, it's kind of carte blanche for filmmakers to do whatever they want. And that's kind of the cool thing about it, especially if you're a filmmaker that doesn't want to pay rights on a recognized property. Lovecraft is the ultimate recognized property. Unfortunately, that also means that there is a glut of really bad Lovecraft. It's kind of like the zombie craze where, zombies are cheap. Nobody owns the rights to zombies. So we got a glut of zombie movies, and a lot of them were terrible. Again, I won't show the trailer for this. This is Freeze. Now, all hats off to the creators of Freeze. Again, this is an example of something that could have been really good. It's coming out soon, and maybe it is good. Maybe I'm not giving it a chance, but the trailer was terrible. Go check it out. You can see it's on Bloody Disgusting. It's kind of it's kind of At the Mountains of Madness meets
the horror Innsmouth?
Yes, Shadow of Innsmouth. Yeah, I couldn't think of it for a second. And you can see here now, this shot here is kind of a pretty cool Lovecraftian monster. Unfortunately, when you watch the trailer, this shot right here, Big Bang never happened. I love Cthulhu, an underwater movie. Oh, Underwater, that was a fun one. Yeah. I was
but that was not Cthulhu.
That was not Cthulhu.
I thought they came out and said that it was.
The director said it was, yeah.
Nah. Man, you need a god to kill Cthulhu.
The thing is, the director did say, I will stand up for the director. He said, you see the bomb blast consume Cthulhu, but that doesn't actually mean that he's dead. No. But of course, Underwater was one of those movies that in the Disney acquisition of Fox got just completely shafted.
Okay. The last thing I would say about that Cthulhu and Underwater is that is Jake Cthulhu.
Jake Cthulhu. I did think it was kind of cool that they had like the Ismuth type creatures were like the main creatures throughout. They were creepy in the way that they were like sleeping in like little compartments within his tentacles was pretty cool. When they were asleep, when they had to get past them when they were asleep, that was pretty awesome.
Yeah, I really like that movie, man.
Yeah, it is fun. It's thin on characterization, but I took my daughter to see that. I was working in another movie theater. I was working at Evo, so I had free tickets. And there was only like 2 other people in the theater with us. It was a very small theater. My daughter absolutely loved it. I was pleasantly surprised. I thought it was a lot of fun. It's exactly what I want out of a movie like that. It's just, cool monsters, harrowing situations. And as, what's his name? Chato, Paul
Chato.
Yeah, Chato said, a ripping yarn. Let's see.
Yeah, I never thought I would enjoy a movie by that actress ever, but I enjoyed that.
Yeah, she was good too.
Yeah,
she was actually good.
good.
I thought it was a weird choice to make her look like Eminem, but
yeah, that was a bit odd.
But no, she did job with that. I was
That,
actually
that
impressed.
movie was a surprise for me. That's the kind of movie that I watch it because it's the kind of movie that I like. I'm a fan of
Yeah.
underwater creatures, and all that shit. So I went, oh, okay, yeah, this probably is not gonna be good, but it's an underwater monster. Let's see. And man, was I surprised.
Yeah,
I'm the same way. If a movie takes place underwater, you can guarantee I'll watch it.
I love Deep Star 6 and
Yep.
Leviathan.
Yeah.
Leviathan, The Abyss.
Paul Chato is sus. Yeah, I'm gonna agree with you on that. Actually, I kind of I have mixed feelings about him and his presentation, but he does say good stuff. Bill Barclay is here, by the way. Welcome, Bill.
Yes.
But here this is well, yeah, and Aliens, by the way, Bill, is or the original Alien is pretty much at the Mountain of Madness in space.
Yeah.
It's the same premise of instead of discovering a ship, they're discovering an ancient civilization. Instead of truckers, it's actually a exploration expedition, and they end up encountering an ancient civilization and waking something up that is nasty and beyond comprehension and kills them. So it's basically the same thing. I will say that before that, Dracula kind of did set the standard for that for H.P. Lovecraft, and the idea of a traveler comes to an ancient land and encounters an old evil that he then takes back with him. So hats off to Bram Stoker. Did I say Clive Barker?
No,
I might have accidentally said Clive Barker. I was in the moment. Bram Stoker.
Yeah.
Here, like I said, this creature here looks cool. But literally, this shot in the trailer is the monster coming and going booga booga. I mean, he doesn't say booga booga, but that's what he looks like he's doing. It's a cringe trailer, and I wanted it to be good. Anyone watch Lovecraft Country TV series? I watched clips from it and cringed so hard that I blew my O-ring of power. It's it's not Lovecraft. And this is something that I do want to talk about, which is another aspect of where I think a lot of people trying to build on Lovecraft as a property, as a recognizable property, and kind of attach themselves to it is a lot of, like, we know that Lovecraft had some racist views, like pretty much everybody back then. People want to really harp on the fact that Lovecraft had some racist views, ignoring that he was married to a Jewish woman. They want to say he was anti-Semitic as well. He's married to a Jewish woman. He did express in his later life some, I won't say regret for some of his earlier views, but he kind of didn't feel as strongly about them and went like, yeah, that was younger me, and I don't quite believe the same anymore. But people want to go like, okay, like Lovecraft Country, obviously, that was a play on like the Juicy Smolier, this is, I won't say the word because I don't know what YouTube's going to demonetize now, but this is blank country. It's like
former president's campaign slogan country.
Yeah, it's kind of cringy. It's just like, oh, we're gonna use Lovecraft to talk about racism because Lovecraft was racist. And and then really lay it on thick, and then it's not about what people show up for anymore. It's not about Lovecraft, it's about the grievance. And this is the problem that I have with the guy that made Get Out.
Jordan Peele.
And Nope, and what was the one where they had the
Us?
Yeah, that's it. I couldn't remember the name of it for some reason.
I'm all for using an idea, a value, or a a thematic idea as a starting point for crafting your story. But there comes a point where people are so interested in their message, in their grievance, that the story becomes that, and then the fact that it's Lovecraftian just is a bait and switch. It's like you came for.
Hello?
Oh, okay. I thought maybe it was me.
No,
I'm not the only one that looks like we may have lost Chris. Well, to go back to a comment that Dragon Ruse had asked, does Deep Blue Sea count as an underwater monster movie? And I would say yes, because Jaws counts as a horror movie. Sharks can absolutely be monsters. In fact, look at the Meg. All a megalodon is a giant shark.
And especially with the sharks on Deep Blue.
Yeah, they were smarter than normal sharks.
They weren't natural creatures. Whoops. And Bill says this.
Yeah. Now, I'm not sure about the licensing as far as that goes, but I know that Chaosium and Sandy Peterson have control over a lot of the gaming concept aspects of Cthulhu. So, and he's been a really good caretaker of the Cthulhu mythos.
Did you? I don't know if you know this, if you have played, but the original Alone in the Dark, that is a very Lovecraftian game.
Yes,
it has all the mythos talking about the worms and everything else.
Yeah, it's as close as you can get to being Lovecraftian without actually mentioning anything in the mythos.
Hello, Dred Roberts. It's a pleasure to have you with us today. And who? Oh, nobody new. We have. Oh, that's interesting, Jeebus.
HasLab Sentinel. $425. Yeah, it's more than I'd be willing to pay for a toy. But then again, this is Jeebus we're talking about. He lives for toys.
We all collect vicariously through him.
Yeah. Although if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have bought my the Booster Gold and Blue Beetle 2-pack that I have.
Yeah, and I would have gotten my 40th anniversary He-Man.
Yeah.
So we are both in your debt. Jeebus, thank you very much. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't pay.
Oh, Real Wood Nation's here. Welcome.
Yes, Real.
But yeah, we lost Chris, so hopefully he'll be back in a minute. But yeah, the thing about Lovecraft wasn't just one guy, H.P. Lovecraft. He had, well, let's call them, to keep it in theme, let's call them acolytes. And especially around his time, he had even the creator of Conan was an acolyte of H.P. Lovecraft. He was, he corresponded with H.P. Lovecraft, and he was in that circle. And that's why there are some Lovecraftian inspired monsters in the Conan books.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. And I was trying to look at something. Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, that is.
And there's been a lot of authors over the years that have written. I mean, because you've got like Brian Lumley, even Stephen King wrote Lovecraft. Roger Zelazny's wrote Lovecraft. Just so many. Neil Gaiman has written Lovecraft. So it's. And those are just some of the. Fritz Lieber, the guy famous for Fafhrd and the Grey Mouser, wrote Lovecraft. Yeah, that's exactly it. It's cosmic horror.
Even the Ogdru, the squids, the space squid from Hellboy, the Ogdru Jahad, what was it?
something like that. Yeah, there's a H.P. Lovecraft has had a huge inspiration on not just horror, but even science fiction and fantasy. As far as, the things that go bump in the night and the dark and stuff. It's just, and he had Guillermo del Toro is obviously heavily inspired by H.P. Lovecraft. He just doesn't have the same,
I think,
incomprehensible horror that H.P. Lovecraft is, and the Cthulhu mythos is known for.
His horror is very romanticized, and I'm not saying that as a bad thing. He has a very personal style of horror, and I do like it.
Yeah.
But the thing with Lovecraft is that what we said already is, and he used that as a very well scapegoat mechanism for not describing things. That shit is so horrible that I cannot describe it.
Yeah. Well, now I played a lot of Call of Cthulhu, the role-playing game, growing up, in high school and college age, and one of the mechanics in that is your sanity, and that's kind of a theme that the horror of the Cthulhu mythos will drive you insane because you just can't grasp it.
You could make some story like that and use the insanity as the only way to survive the whole thing. That only by becoming a madman can you survive. But you survive, but you're lost forever.
Yeah. Well, and we talked about Harvey Cthulhu. No.
No, I love him. So, where were you talking, John? Before I so rudely interrupt you. Sorry.
Oh, that's okay. Let's if you look at like Pan's Labyrinth, you can see a bit of the inspiration. In the images.
Well, Jeebus, you're killing John.
Yeah. That's well, chemical enhancement doesn't count there, Jeebus. But let's I've shared I've got some images from Pan's. Probably the most famous creature is obviously this one.
Yeah, but it looks very unthreatening, to be honest. Hey, Zach's in the house.
Hey, welcome. And so you've got that, just that look. How things don't quite look right.
I like that movie very much because the duality, if you don't know, is all this thing real?
Yeah, you don't know what's going on. I think that's part of what he gets from H.P. Lovecraft, because there's a lot of times you're reading H.P. Lovecraft and you're like, what the?
Yeah. And the other thing about the Pan's Labyrinth is what is more horrifying, the monsters or the monstrosities that humans do to each other.
And that's that's a common theme through a lot of good horror is going back to Dragoner's Deep Blue Sea. The humans modified those sharks So who's responsible? The sharks or the humans that made them?
Yeah, the sharks just want to be free.
Yeah. So I feel kind of. I mean, I guess we could talk about Pacific Rim and Hellboy.
Yeah,
because
go,
they
go
are.
for it because I cannot get a hold of Chris.
Or Mimic, even. I don't know if you remember Mimic.
Oh, I haven't seen it.
Okay, well, we won't go into Mimic then. But
yeah. Go into it if you need, man.
Well, that's okay. I mean,
I forget spoilers. Old man's memory.
And people forget Guillermo del Toro directed Blade 2.
Really?
Yep.
Didn't know. I wasn't too enthralled with the Blade trilogy. I watched the first one and I find it kind of boring. Then I saw the second one with my brother because he was insisting, but I didn't want to, so I didn't pay enough attention.
Yeah. Yeah, well, if we want to talk about Hellboy, Hellboy is obviously taken from a comic book. And we're talking about the first two Hellboy movies, Hellboy and Hellboy and the Golden Army. Hellboy 2,
the only Hellboy movies that exist.
Yeah, that third. Actually, I didn't really mind that. I mean, it just wasn't all that great, but it wasn't like absolutely horrible. There's a lot worse movies around than the Hellboy remake. And David Barber did a fine job. I mean, he wasn't he wasn't what's his face? My brain just
Ron Perlman.
Yeah, Ron Perlman. He wasn't Ron Perlman, but then again, Ron Perlman's like ancient now.
Yeah, but one of my biggest problems was his portrayal. Not to mention his height, because he's not tall enough to be Hellboy.
Yeah.
But his portrayal, I do not put the blame on him, but the director. So Hellboy was shouting all the time. He didn't deliver lines. He shouted lines, and it put me out.
It was it was almost a parody of Hellboy in a way.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't quite Hellboy, but like I said, it wasn't that bad as far as the movie's concerned. But anyway, to get back to the original, because the two original Hellboy movies are classics. I mean, they're how you do a comic book adaptation right. Because there's a lot of comic book adaptations that they get it wrong.
Almost everyone.
Yeah, quite a few. It's just like it's comic book adaptations are almost as not nearly as bad, but almost as bad as video game adaptations. There's been a lot more better comic book adaptations and video adaptations, but
yes. However, and in the topic of horror, and I know it's a guilty pleasure because I know the movie is not very good, to say the least, but I like Doom. What can I say?
Oh, you're talking about the
one
the
with
Rock?
the Rock and Carl Urban.
Yeah, that's not. I mean, I understand it's a guilty pleasure. I'm a bad choice though because I like bad movies. I'll sit and watch a bad movie. I mean, heck, I have a ton of the Asylum films. Just because I enjoy them because they're so bad.
Yeah. There's always that.
Yeah, and yes, Axe, they both do have TDS, and that's why you have to be able to separate the artist from their art.
And not follow them on Twitter.
Yeah, don't follow them. I used to follow Ron Perlman on Twitter.
Yeah.
He finally when he went, I mean, because he was Yeah, he was bad. He was a lefty, and yeah, he would say stuff in it, but he wasn't that bad. And then Trump got elected, and it was some of the most vile things I've seen on Twitter that didn't get bounced. And I'm like, I'm out of here.
Well, this guy, oh man, Kurgan the Kraken and Sergeant Sim. What is his name? I forgot. Clancy Brown. Man,
Yeah.
Clancy Brown said, he said very nasty things in general on Twitter. And I was, no, man, I don't want to read this.
Yeah. So, I mean, but that's why, I'm kind of, and that's what's, I'm still a fan of Clancy Brown, just because I'm able to separate, the art from the art. Because I'm looking forward to seeing him in John Wick 4.
Oh, is he on there? On that?
Yeah.
I know nothing about John Wick 4. I want to go completely ignorant about the subject. I don't want to see nothing. I want to be surprised.
All right. Yeah. Hey, look, we're being pop culture minefield and getting off topic. Mainly because our host has disappeared.
Maybe Cthulhu abducted him, and he's in a dimension now of infinite pain and terror.
Let's hope not. Let's just hope he's just got internet connection issues.
Tremors 2. Oh.
See, I like all the Tremors movies. I enjoy them. They're silly, good fun. Let's call it that, because they're not serious horror. I mean, there's let's face it, there's nothing really scary about Tremors.
I haven't seen the last one in the island.
Oh yeah,
but I heard so many bad things about it.
Yeah, I haven't. I don't think I've watched that one either. Now that I come to think about it,
Harvey Cthulhu got crazy.
See, that's what happens. You don't talk about Harvey Cthulhu, I guess. Yeah. What about going back about Guillermo del Toro? What about his Pinocchio movie?
Didn't see that. I didn't.
Is it out? I thought it was. Yeah, it releases December 9th. Yeah, he's doing Pinocchio. Some of the voices in it are Gregory Mann, Ewan McGregor, Ron Perlman, Finn Wolfhard, Kate Blanchett, David Bradley, Tim Blake Nelson, Tilda Swinton, John Turturro, Christoph Waltz. So I mean, it's got a good voice cast, and it's certainly going to be better than
the Disney
live action remake with Tom Hanks.
Haven't watched it. I don't have plans to watch it.
Yeah, you can give that one a pass, right there. It's not all that great.
Man, I remember there was in the 70s. Well, I saw it in the 70s, so it must be of the 60s. There was a Pinocchio anime. Man, that shit was dark. It was very dark.
Oh, glad you. Yeah, it does look nice, Bill Barkley. I thought the Unicron. I just wish I had the extra $40 to buy it. I just don't have the extra $40 right now. Sorry, I just jumped off topic again.
Oh, that's our thing here. Anyway.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, I don't know. I think it looks good from the pictures I've seen of Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. Here, let me bring this up and share. Look at some of these.
It's good to know you're getting entertained.
Jeebus. Anyway, I'm sharing a screen.
Okay.
There.
I'm on it. Nice. It reminds me of the troll market on Hellboy 2.
Yeah. Obviously, that's Jiminy Cricket.
Yeah. Yes. Looks very nice. I didn't know about this movie.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Oh, they're doing. There he is with some of the. There's the puppets because it's stop motion.
And I really like the work of Guillermo. I wish he were more productive because I really like his work.
Yeah, he basically does. I mean, he's at that point where he can do whatever he wants.
Here is
Yes.
exactly the topic.
Yeah, that's I in my opinion, it was not very good.
Would you say it was a horrific experience or just not very good?
It was just not good. Just not good. In fact, I would actually put it maybe I liked it a little less than I liked Wakanda Forever.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you walk out of Wakanda Forever.
Well, no, that was 6 that walked out. I walked out the first time because of camera issues. I sat through the whole thing.
Yeah.
But,
I don't know. Having heard all the things I've heard, and I've heard very diverse points of view. I'm just still open to go to cinemas if my family says they want to go to the cinema. I would go, mostly to see the slow motion crash.
yeah, it's definitely a crash. But yeah, here is my official review of those. Yeah, if you just want to share that.
Oh my god! Like
Thanks.
That pretty much covers it.
Thanks.
Yep, that pretty much covers both those movies, both Wakanda Forever and that. Now there were some good moments in it that I was like enjoying some things.
Okay, I have word from Chris.
Yes.
His power is out. So.
Oh, that's not good. Well,
I have some experience with that, if you can remember.
Well, he's in California, so that happens. I think isn't he in California?
I don't know. I really don't know, but
no, I didn't see Nightmare Alley. It's on my list. I've got. It's not as long as my book list, but I've got a long movie list. And the problem is,
man,
hey,
he's
you're back. My power went out. Are we still live?
Yeah, we're still live. I've been limping us along.
Where were we? Yes, I was not expecting that to happen. I think we were talking about freeze, right? Yes, I'm in Texas.
and then you froze.
Yeah. And then I froze. Let's see.
So let's talk about winning the lottery.
Right? Yeah, that I would love. But anyway, let's see. Yeah, it's 11:11, so I can't actually go too much longer, unfortunately. And I think we were talking about how people use like I said, and this happens with anything, but people start to use Lovecraft as a vehicle for them rather than a true commitment to Lovecraft. And I admit, Lovecraft is a tough sell. Hey,
Joe.
Hey, yo.
Can you hear us?
Can you hear me?
He's frozen.
Yeah. No, he's very laggy.
So,
yeah, we can hear you. You're really quiet though.
I am.
Martine, can you turn him up? No, Joe.
I'm in the comic book store. So I was just taking a break. You guys were talking about Wakanda Forever real quick, and I'll get out of here. I just want to give you my 2 cents. It was too long. It was a nice ode to the young man that died. That was
I can't.
That was nice.
Joe, we can't hear you really.
Yeah.
That's it.
Okay. Well, hopefully, I'm sorry about that. But I just wanted to let you guys know what I thought of that movie. But I'll get back to you another time. You guys take care. See you later.
Okay. Sorry about that.
See you later.
See you later.
Sorry. Could you hear him, John?
Barely. Yeah, he said it was a nice ode to a young man that died, and it was too long.
What was?
He was talking about we had touched on Wakanda Forever for just a moment, just because.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Okay, yeah. So anyway, going
it's
back,
a long thing to get there. So,
and I apologize for the power out. I was in the middle of talking, and everything just went. The screen literally did that. Chew. It's like, oh, no.
You went all RoboCop.
Yeah. So anyway, again, Lovecraft is kind of a tough sell. The name recognition, the fact that the name Lovecraft in itself sounds cool, it's instantly recognizable. He has so many great ideas. I do want to talk a little bit about Guillermo del Toro's Cabinet of Curiosities, because this is a Guillermo del Toro episode. I don't want to lose sight of that.
We did talk about Pinocchio, his Pinocchio coming up December 9th.
Yeah. And this is something I saw a little bit of a spoiler review of Pinocchio. It's like instead of Pleasure Island, he goes to the Hitler Youth camp. It's like I think Guillermo del Toro, being a kind of a artist whose style is one of artifice, and he works very well with. I want to give a shout out to Spectral Motion, the practical effects company that he works with, to create these wonderful designs and that sort of thing. But he can't get out of his own way with his preoccupation with the. I can't say it any other way, but the woke agenda, Yeah. He sees Yahtzees everywhere he looks. One of the Cabinet of Curiosity episodes, which could have been really good, called Lot 36, starts with literally the most cringy stereotype of a guy. First it starts with a guy watching the news, and it takes place during the Gulf War. So it's George Bush talking about, freedom and the New World Order and all that sort of thing. And then it cuts to a guy sitting in his truck, the main character, listening to someone in the most twangy, stereotypical hick accent going, well, the problem is the border and the illegals coming over and ruining our country. And the guy sitting in his car going like, yeah, F&A, it's just like the most stereotypical, like, cartoon version of how you see people, how you think they must see more conservative people in their head. And when you go to the Wikipedia for that episode, it talks about, the alt-right, or was it the right-wing white nationalist guy? And essentially, I'm gonna spoil this one a little bit.
Go ahead.
He goes into this lot, which turns out to contain occult material. There's a demon. The demon is awesome. The character, the white nationalist character, at one point, his shtick is he buys abandoned storage units and then tries to flip them and make some money off of them. You know, they auction off abandoned storage units. Well, as a lady, her storage unit gets accidentally auctioned off. She's a Mexican lady. So he, of course, when she goes to him and asks him, hey, I just want to go in there and get some old photos and stuff. They're not worth anything to you. He's like, you know, learn to speak English and, you know, all these stereotypical things, and tells her no. Then at the end of the story where he's trying to escape the demon, she is there and she has a chance to open the door and let him out so he can escape. And she chooses, because he was a jerk to her before, she chooses to let him die. And I'm like, yeah, it's Storage Wars with the demon. And it's like, okay, the guy was a jerk to you, but you're kind of worse by being that petty that, you know, but as an audience, you can tell by the way, and Guillermo del Toro wrote this, you're supposed to feel happy. Like, it serves you right for, you know, not telling the Mexican lady to speak English, even though she was speaking English. So that didn't make sense. You know, it's like such a, what would you call it? Just a lazy gaslight of people you don't like, to kind of write them in the worst possible way and then applaud when they meet their demise. The guy's written as a jerk, but not as someone that deserves to die. What also kind of made me mad was the guy's a veteran, and he talks about being a veteran and his bitterness at serving his country and kind of, you know, watching it go to hell again, in the most gaslight, like worst way possible you could phrase it. But I'm like, way to step on veterans and, you know, just all that. And it really only amounted to, again, what, you know, the ending of the story, which was kind of like what I call the Price is Right, like womp 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 horn story. Like, oh, you could have survived, but you were mean to the Mexican lady and you said racist things, and therefore, you know, it's too bad, so sad. And it's just, again, it was otherwise a cool idea. What happens if you happen to, at an auction, buy the storage unit of somebody who is using it to store their occult materials that happen to also have raised a demon, you know? But the story lost to that. His other stories, another one was Pickman's Model, which is an H.P. Lovecraft story, which he managed to make utterly boring to the point where I kind of like started to zone out watching it, and like chunks of it, I'm like, wait, what happened? And I didn't even I asked what happened just in the fact that I realized I zoned out. Everything that happened, I actually kind of came back to. It was like, oh, okay, it doesn't matter. I didn't need that information anyway. And that was kind of the shame of most of it, is a lot of it's boring, or at least just slow. There's one with Rupert Grint, Ron Weasley from Harry Potter, who is in Dreams of the Witch House, which is just a butchered version of that story. There's things going on. You're like, okay, I understand what they're referencing, but they don't make any effort to make the audience understand what's being referenced. Essentially, when he's a kid, his sister dies and he sees her ghost, and he sees her ghost get dragged off into the afterlife. And so he he becomes obsessed with paranormal research as an adult, becomes Popper, and you know, tries to contact her. And then there's the witch house. Oh, War Monkey is here, by the way. And I've lost all the private chat stuff from before because I logged back on. But welcome, War Monkey.
Let me see what can I do for you, my friend.
Yeah, if there's anybody that we missed.
Well, I can always read the names off.
Oh, that's
Zax is here.
Real Wade Nation showed up when you were gone.
Okay. Welcome. Thank you, guys. But yeah, so it's a shame because I wanted these stories to be good. There was an all right one called The Autopsy. But again, they did time jumps, and it would have worked better as a linear story, because as time jumps go, every time they did a time jump, they had to have a character explain what was going on. So there's a lot of telling and not showing. It was an interesting idea, and it's about essentially somebody autopsying these people, and one of them has an alien, sentient alien parasite inside them. And he has to figure out a way to defeat this parasite. Again, I won't do full spoilers, but again, the parasite, once it reveals itself, gives a whole villain monologue about what it's doing and why and how. And then when the protagonist figures out how to defeat the entity, he gives his own monologue of how he tricked it. And then, I'm not kidding, the antagonist literally goes, "No!" He's just like, it's so lazy. And Del Toro wrote some of this stuff too. So I'm figuring he's, something like Hellboy, which was very entertaining. Remember, he worked hand in hand with Mike Mignola to create those stories. And I think that worked really well. So I think, and I read his first book, the vampire one, which was called
The Strain.
The Strain. Thank you. My brain always drops stuff. It was okay. It fell apart at the end. Started out interesting, but it meandered and it fell apart. And then he did a series that I checked out, I think 2 seasons of.
Yeah, that's about as far as I got.
Yeah, because it meandered and it fell apart. Let's see. I'm seeing if there's a Sox Bulletin, Diva Marma.
The 70s rock fan.
Oh, great.
Yeah. Oh.
So I think.
Hi, Brian.
What?
Hi, Brian. I'm saying
to
that.
Is that 70s fan's name, Brian?
Yeah, that's his
I didn't
name.
know that. But I think we have everybody else so far. Yeah, I would really, there was beautiful artistry. The creature designs were excellent. You could spectral motion. What's the other one I saw? It was so good I forgot already. I saw for Dreams in the Witch House, The Autopsy, Pickman's Model. Did I see 4? Or maybe I don't know. I can't even remember.
You said you saw 4. So.
Yeah. I mean, this is how good they are. They're not very memorable. Like I said, the great production value. Still had that Guillermo del Toro artifice to them. I just feel like, is this what our best is offering us at the moment? I just feel like we could do so much better. We have such fascinating ideas, and with the advent of video on demand, where we're not constrained so much by time slots, commercial breaks, how many showings in a theater, we could really do whatever length of time we want, but they still make it about, streaming by minutes.
Yeah.
And so they're padding stuff out and they're jumping around. But I mean, these feel really lazy. The Autopsy, by the way, was directed by again, I don't remember his name, but it was directed by the guy that directed a flop horror movie that I actually thought was excellent. Lovecraftian story called The Empty Man. Which is
seen that one.
It got no press. It was like the widest release, and nobody went and saw it because they thought it was going to be another thing like I think like the Slender Man or the Bye Bye Man or something like that. It got lumped in with those as just another like stupid slasher. It was a slow burn. It had a very interesting opening and a very fascinating reveal. It is a slow movie, but it is the payoff. I was a little confused when I first watched it, but as I thought about it, it started to make more sense. And it was really good. So I was hoping that The Autopsy was, I think, the best one that I watched in Cabinet of Curiosities. It is a little bit like Tales from the Crypt, by the way. It's like, Guillermo del Toro comes out and introduces each one. Like he's Rod Sterling, or doing like Night Gallery or Twilight Zone or Outer Limits, that sort of thing. He says who it's directed by. Our tale tonight is this. I'm worried for his health. When he comes walking out, he kind of does like a waddle. And it takes away from the effect. I do think it's wonderful that he wants to introduce him, but I look at him and go like, man, you got to maybe do a little something about your health. And I say that not to be condescending or anything like that, but just, general concern. When you see someone kind of look like he's having trouble walking, come out, that's a bit, it's unsettling. You don't like to see it. He is a talent. I just think he's not pushing himself. When Pan's Labyrinth came out, I mean, it was groundbreaking. That's really what put him on the map. And Hellboy was entertaining and it was fun. He really let Ron Perlman shine. I think the whole cast shine. And he brings people in like, Doug Jones to do different suit performances. He loves the artistry and he loves letting those people thrive. And I think that's where his strength is. I just think that he needs to, similar to Alfred Hitchcock's Presents as well. Alfred Hitchcock, I think, always cared about quality, and he was talented enough where he knew what a good story needed and made sure that it had it. It's been a very long time since I watched Alfred Hitchcock's Presents, but I think I can safely say that even if there's a dud or two in the batch of Alfred Hitchcock Presents, it's still good. It still meets certain standards, even as a dud. And these days, I feel like we don't have people, and Guillermo del Toro isn't one of them either, that are able to look at a story and go, okay, these are the things that the story needs to be solid every time, even if it doesn't hit the mark for everybody every time. It's a shame to see people like Guillermo del Toro write stories that meander, that have loose ends, that, don't have basic screencraft that in eras past would not have, gotten past the standard test for any kind of writing. I mean, even, it's like my wife likes watching The Golden Girls. That's not my thing, but every time an episode of that is on, it's got solid writing. And you'd think, oh, it's just a stupid sitcom. It's solid because those writers knew what the marks they had to hit every time. And we've got these great creators, these great designers. We have, the best equipment, the best special effects companies, everything. And yet it suffers at the hands of just kind of this.
Like they're just phoning it in.
Yeah, they're phoning it in because they've favored their whatever grievance they think they have. And a lot of it is imaginary. And if you want to, if you want to touch on topics of racism or anything like that, that's fine, but do it honestly.
The thing is, the reason why a lot of those creators take that gaslighting, let's make fun of them tact, is because that straight at the left have this playbook called Saul Alinsky's Rules for Radicals.
Say that again.
Saul Alinsky's Rules for Radicals.
Oh yes, I am familiar.
And one of the rules is to make fun of your target that you don't like. If you make fun of them and get other people to make fun of them, it reduces their power.
Yes.
And that's the whole point of them doing that.
And that comes from the might is right kind of attitude.
Yeah.
Or as I think, was it that YouTuber Vosh said one time, it's not about my values or it's not about my principles, it's about winning.
No, no. He didn't say it's not about my principles. He said, I don't have principles. I want to win.
Yeah. But again, this is, the prize is empty if you're not doing it. It's like if you win an argument based on lies, you didn't win the argument. You just perpetuated a lie. And it doesn't get us anywhere.
This thing is getting more convoluted.
Yeah. Anyway, it comes down to this, and I do have to get going because I've got things that I've got to take care of, and I apologize to everybody for the power outage and me being gone, but I'm sure that John and Martin handled it well. I just want to say, you know, again, I really like Guillermo del Toro's aesthetic. I like ultimately, you know, I think he's a talented guy, and I think he's capable of more. And I would like to see him do better. This is not just a hate watch or you know, me coming on to bash another thing. I really, as a streamer, I think there's plenty of YouTube channels and the like that are out there to just bash and get the clicks. You know, we can all point to things that we hate. I do want to continue the conversation about, you know, and John has been doing this as well. Friday, you're talking about Roger Corman and Lloyd Kaufman. You know, talk about things we love and why we love them and how we can take that information and use it to build new things that are going to improve the quality of living, quality of entertainment, which I think improves our quality of living. We need things that are good. We need things that are cool. We need things that are beautiful. Beauty matters a lot. And I recommend go look up a documentary called it's by Roger Scruton. It's a BBC documentary called oh crap, I forgot the name. Something like Why Beauty Matters. I think that might be it. It's wonderful, and it makes you really think, yeah, we need more beauty in the world. We need less just block brick buildings, utilitarian designs. We need something to make us feel good about the world we live in. And
some of us happen to like brutalism. Thank you very much.
Yes, well, I have a dog with brutal farts, and I don't like it. So.
I'm more like a
brutalism is that style of archicecture.
Yeah,
you know.
I know.
Yeah,
could probably get Lloyd Kaufman on. Yeah, he probably could. He was friends with a good friend of mine, Batten Lash. Yes. So, by the way, so John is doing on Friday his show, which is, like I said, Roger Corman and Lloyd Kaufman. I think that's going to be excellent. And I just got some news right before I came on the show. Next Tuesday, we will be joined by none other than Batman writer and creator of Bane, Chuck Dixon, who is, I've done interviews with him before. He's a wonderful guy, very good writer. He is currently doing First Kill with your boy Zach and The Critical Drinker. So we're going to be talking about that. And I'm very excited. So let's go down the chat one more time before we log off.
Before we do that, can I plug my show today? I am streaming at 4:00 today, my usual Tuesday show, Das Wolfen's Random Stream of Randomness. You can find it at youtube.com/@RealDasWolfen. And there's going to be, I'll also be showing off my controller that I finished. So,
nice.
And be actually playing some classic games with it. So, as part of the show. So,
that's excellent. I'm so excited that you finished that. That's really cool. I love projects like that. And I should also plug on my own YouTube channel, Christopher Moonlight Productions, not tomorrow, but next Wednesday, the day before Thanksgiving, at, I believe it's going to be noon Central. I'll have to double check, noon Central or 1 Central. I will be talking with Sarah Frazetta, granddaughter of Frank Frazetta. We're actually going to be talking about the business side of the arts, making money with your creations. So if you are an artist who wants to make money doing what you love, I think that's going to be great conversation. We're going to be talking a lot of brass tacks about how she makes that happen. And maybe I'll find other guests that talk about that too. So,
and what time was that again?
I can't remember at the moment if it is. Let me check my messages. Oh wait, no, I was talking to her through text, not Messenger. See, we will be doing that.
See, Dragon, you're just doing that to trigger me. I know. I know. There's no way you can think that that's a great movie.
What movie did he say?
Godzilla 98.
Oh,
well, there's a way. There's a way. If you take the name Godzilla from the movie.
Okay, yeah, you take the name Godzilla out of it, it's an okay movie.
Okay, so it's going to be noon next Wednesday Central Time. with Sarah Frazetta on Christopher Moonlight Productions YouTube channel. So,
and that's noon Pacific,
noon Central.
Noon Central. Okay.
Noon Central.
Before we go, I would like to address Bill because I think I didn't understand his question, so I'm gonna give the two answers. Chuck Dixon is related to the Bane of the comics, so he has nothing to do with those other two Bane that he, in fact, he despises.
Yeah.
And
but
if you're asking us what is our favorite of these two Banes, I obviously will have to say Tom Hardy.
You know, it's funny, but I have never watched Batman and Robin or the last Dark Knight movie all the way through, so I have no opinion.
Batman
on
and Robin is more comic accurate, but Hardy has a better performance.
Yeah, well, comic accurate in the outfit because Bane is a babbling moron that only knows one word.
I was just talking about the costume.
Well, we can definitely address that when we talk to him, and this is going to be a great opportunity for people in the chat to ask Chuck questions because I've done 2 interviews with him before, but those weren't live. So I think I did pass along some questions, but he's a wonderful guy. He's really funny. I know he's done a lot of other live streams, but I'm really excited to have him. I want to hear about this new project. I want to hear about working directly with Sylvester Stallone because this is a Rambo comic and it is approved, but they're working with Sylvester Stallone. This is canon for Rambo. So this is very exciting. All right. I think the chat. All right.
Yeah,
so
read the names.
Here's my opportunity to butcher names once again. Caleb Carney. Is that no Cammy? Sorry, I need to change my contacts. They're a bit blurry. Caleb Cammy, Sox Bulletins, Anima Confucia.
Better.
D-Bud Martin, Lord Toth, Dragon Ruse, Joe's Atmosphere, my honorary Oos, the Peter Vakeman fan site, Cavitino. Martin, you take this one.
Cavitino, Cavalryman Shea.
We'll let John butcher it for a change. All right. Yeah. Lauren Worth, Colonizer Jeebus, thank you, come again. And Bill Barclay, Dread Roberts. Ooh, the Dread Pirate Roberts. Real Wade Nation, Zax, War Monkey. I've got a cat licking my chin. Let's see. I just accidentally scrolled, so I lost my place. Zax, War Monkey, and that 70s rock fan. I think we've got them all. Thank you so much for joining us. And again, thank you for bearing with the embarrassing power outage. But I will be back next Tuesday, and I will probably be there with John on Friday. So you guys all have a great one. And I think, Martin, go ahead, take us out. Cheers, everyone.
Okay.
Hey guys, thanks for watching Pop Culture Minefield. If you've enjoyed the show, please make sure to like, subscribe, and don't forget to click the bell icon for updates on our shows and channel. Also, please leave a comment, and we'd like to know what you thought of the episode, as well as letting us know if there's something you'd like us to cover in a future episode. Don't forget that you can become a member of Pop Culture Minefield now. Make sure to visit our membership page and merch store at popcultureminefield.com. You can always find Pop Culture Minefield on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitch.
Get off our lawns!